Hey there, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While. It's the podcast where we dig into ideas and insights that help you to unleash what you were born to bring. I chat with heart-led experts and I ask the questions that I know you're thinking about, and then we explore conversations that spark growth, that shift perspectives, and that help you to show up fully in your life and at work. And today we're going to explore how and why you can't provide value if you're not being seen. And this conversation is worth your while because if people don't know you exist or that your business and your services exist, they cannot benefit from what you have to offer. And we're talking about being seen in ways that fit who you are and what you're ready for, though, so that visibility feels doable instead of overwhelming. Because keeping your gifts hidden might feel safer in the moment, but it also keeps the people who need you from ever finding you and what you have to offer. So I'm your host, Linda Bucher. And if your life and the life you're living no longer seems to fit you, then this space is for you. Because through coaching and through my podcast, I guide purpose-driven people to reconnect with who they really are, to let go of what they've outgrown, to rediscover their gifts, and then create this life that feels aligned and deeply impactful. And if that sparks something within you, you can find me at lindabucher.com. Okay, back to today's conversation. You can't be seen. Sorry, you can't provide value if you're not being seen. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Sarah Hanna of Second Life Careers and Solutions. And Sarah is helping small businesses and entrepreneurs to get visible online so that they can bring their vision to the world. So Sarah, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Linda. I appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you and your expertise. Can you tell us a little bit more about, what you do, who you serve?
I build websites, so my focus is on your online presence. My goal is to help your business get visible online, whether it's a brick and mortar or you work from home, you're a solopreneur, or you are, got a larger business or building a business, small, medium-sized business. But goal is to connect all the dots between all the various pieces that we need today to get visible online, from websites to Google content, social media, and all the things. So that's my goal.
Well, it's a lot of pieces too,
A lot.
yeah. So it's very beautiful that you offer this service. And I got as I used to be a computer programmer, okay, back in the 80s, but I have programmed every single one of my websites. And I like oh yeah, I'm gonna like make this pretty page and it's gonna say this some stuff. And then I get stuck. I'm like, well, I don't want to do all this stuff. Like Google Analytics, like what? I got some emails, you got to redo it or whatever. That was like 4 years ago. I never redid it. This, how to be online in a presence where everything is so noisy and there's so much going on. How are people going to see my stuff? It really is, a real, it goes beyond my love of expertise, even though I can program my own website and I have, and I still do, and I enjoy it. So as
Right.
soon as it comes to like the SEO part, I'm like, blah, I don't want to do that. You know?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So it's pretty hard for especially small business or solopreneur like me. We got so many hats. Like it would be hilarious if I had like a row of hats behind me of all the roles
Yeah.
I have to play as a solopreneur. And the my least favorite hat, the one that keeps dropping on the ground, would be marketer,
Yeah.
CMO, like
Yeah.
my whole marketing department, like blah, because it's so not aligned with what I like, and it's really not aligned with my expertise, right?
Okay.
So, it is a real struggle for people, isn't it, to actually do the things that they know need to be done.
Of course. I mean, you said it best, and we all wear many hats as solopreneurs. We all wear many hats. That is why one of my goals this year is collaboration, and I'm already doing it with a few companies where we offset, where we complement each other. I provide a lot of different services. I'm working with a company right now that provides services that I provide, but I'm doing copywriting, sitemap, and they're doing the design on WordPress. So it's a really neat collaboration to be able to do. And I just spoke to somebody else who doesn't have a Wix. I'm a Wix Wix guru. So I build websites primarily in Wix, although I do support GoDaddy and Squarespace as well. Wix is my go-to, and he doesn't have a Wix designer. So he's like, "You're my new Wix girl." I said, "Fantastic." So, it's again, there's so many things that we have going on. It's about finding the right tools for you, trying not to get overwhelmed by all the different things, right? There's so many things. We already do hard things. I talk about that in a talk that I do. But, yeah, I mean, there's so many things with the entrepreneurs that we have to take on. It's, just getting it simple and starting with one so that you're not overwhelmed.
Yeah, and also shifting expectations, I think. We
Hmm.
have these expectations that we're supposed to be really good at all those hats. And like you
Right,
said, thinking about using collaboration is a beautiful thing. There's all these assessments all over the place, right? I like the Colby Index. I think it's really fabulous because it's an assessment that you take that gives you an output that shares how you're naturally wired to do what you do, whatever it is that you do. So, and like any of these assessments, there's like continuums, right? So there's like four levels and there's continuums from this to that. And you can't be everywhere on the continuum. And when you understand where you are, you understand, oh wait, I'm over here, like I'm a quick start. How hard it can be. I'm going to start right now. I'm just going to do this right today. Right? I started in one no, 1 or 2 days, I started this podcast. I go, it's January. I think I'll start a podcast. I recorded a podcast and it's been ever since. I'm in my fourth year because like a quick start. But what
right,
I'm not is a researcher. Oh my God, blah, don't want to do that. That is just like no. And so I need to find my cognitive complement on that scale for someone who likes to research because I'm not taking it, I'm not doing it any quicker. I'm trial and erroring for the first 6 months. They're researching for the first 6 months. It takes us the same amount of time to get where we want to get. But imagine if we work together, what we could do. We could avoid
right,
all the trial and error mistakes and maybe get there in 3 months or 2 months, right? And make it beautiful. So to understand who you are helps you to give yourself permission to not be who you're not. These are the hats behind me that I don't like to wear, that I'm not good at. And that's where we can bring in experts for sure. So, but we're talking about visibility.
right.
And when it comes to visibility, one of the main concerns that people have, and it's valid, is that's not me. That is not me. I know someone who is a podcast guest of mine, but I know them so well that they hate being on camera. Hate it, hate it, hate it. But
Yep,
recognize their business thrives when they post online. Thrives. Like
yep.
that's the way. And knowing that, this might be, very helpful for them to kind of get a feel for her personality and what she does. And I know her so well. I'm like, oh my God, we got to get you on this podcast. And it took her years to get on. And when we were all done recording, she was like, don't send that out. I can't. And I'm like, I'll send it to you. And if you're comfortable with it, then I'll drop it as an episode. So being on camera is so uncomfortable for her. Making cool Instagram stuff, super comfortable for her, right? So we've got to find a way to be visible that feels good, that
But it feels
aligns.
genuine, right? That feels genuine as the individual, right? So I think to your point, visibility, we're talking about online visibility with all the technical stuff, right? Which is all really important. And one of the pieces is, especially as a solopreneur small business with just a couple of partners, is making sure that you are visible on that website. You can have all your services, you can have all your, fancy things, but will how will people decide they want to work with you? Testimonials, right? Testimonials are huge. Google reviews are big. Having a testimonials page, and also telling somebody your story, pictures about you, pictures of you, and maybe of you doing something, where they can connect with you. Like, I like to golf. I'm hoping that the weather clears up this weekend so I can golf for a minute. Not, I'm working on my golf game, I think, as we all do. But, one of my clients is a huge hockey fan, right? A huge sports fan. So we made part of his about page it can kind of includes a collage in a professional way so that he can connect with people, because he's an accountant And accountants don't always sound like the most fun people, but he's really fun. And, I think that's one of those things that your website should really show, your online presence should really show, um, you know, who you are, not just in what you do and what you can do for them, but also that you're going to be great to work with. And so even with him, the challenge was, oh, you want pictures of me? It goes back to like,
Right.
the person not wanting to be on video. Some people don't even want pictures of themselves. And so when I really get them to draw that out, it's like, then that feels like their personality is there. And I think that's where the collaboration really comes into play as well. But the visibility, it takes time. And if you're not okay being on video, or if you don't want to put a ton of pictures of yourself out there online, that's okay. Just
Yeah.
start small. Start
Right.
small. Pick one avenue, Google posts or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever you're going to do, but pick one and just kind of maybe sprinkle one in with educational posts or informational posts or whatever. And then that way it's not so overwhelming.
Yeah. And I like just the fact of when you start small and you start with one thing and you will get comfortable when you realize I did this and my hair did not start on fire. Right?
Right,
Like the
right,
worst didn't happen, you
right.
know? And so maybe it is safe to get out here in this way, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and it's huge. People do want to know who they're working with, not just what they're going to get. Um, because we want to know that we're working with someone who in some way mirrors our values. And if we're not
Yes.
seeing the real person, we won't know that. So we need to see the real person, not just someone who put on a power suit and has their arms crossed like this on their website. So that doesn't tell me anything about you. That just
Right,
tells me you hired a professional photographer to make you cross your arms in your power suit. That's all that
right,
tells me. It doesn't tell me about your personality. I know like
right,
on my website I have like 10 silly facts about Linda. Like it's up there. Like silly facts, and I've always done something like that because in my industry as a coach, like just a billboard would never work because it's too personal, right?
right,
But like if your business is you're a tire salesman and you sell tires, you want to get your company's name out there so that when they need tires, you come to mind first. But tires are like they're low risk. I got to get tires. It's low risk. I'm just know this is familiar. No, they're familiar because they must be everywhere and they must be really good. So for some
right,
businesses, like the familiarity, right, of like that household name, like knowing that name is what will bring the business, right? And then for other businesses like mine, people, I can post all day long. I will tell you because I have hired people to do posts for me. Um, in 17 years, I've never gotten a client because I posted because it's too personal. However, the visibility lets people see me, like because my videos of my podcasts go out for me and my guests. And then people get a feel for my personality and they will go, yeah, or they go, no. And then they're going to reach out to me. So it's because it's personal, they need to see me, like, and get
right,
me and feel me and hear me, right? Because of what I do. So there's not a one size fits all, right? For all the businesses.
right. Right. No, there's not. I think, every business is different. And to your point about, kind of honing in a little bit on marketing and visibility is, and sales, right, is a lot of times the sales don't come from the website or they don't come from Instagram. Instagram is very product focused now, product and advertising focused now. And services, I've talked to a bunch of people, services, everybody's kind of moving more towards LinkedIn for that now because it's really more, especially for professional services. But I think no, there's no one size fits all, and it's a constant move now. We have to stay on top of the change. AI is obviously playing a role in today's world. Embrace it or not, it's coming. It's here, and adapt because it's here. I'm an advocate myself. I use it for my business, and but I use it as a tool, an efficiency tool.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down the AI rabbit hole. I'll just say that I use it as an efficiency tool. It helps me do my job better and it helps me help my clients. And that at the end of the day is me being of service support, is being of service and support to them. But, as far as what fits, it's about learning about your clients, what the individual, what the small business, what they want to do, where they want to be. And that visibility can be them as an individual, but it's also about making sure that you're providing content that is engaging, educate, depending on your industry, right? So I have a technology client, it's all about educating people on things like cybersecurity and various aspects of that from personal to work. It's not just that, it goes beyond that, but it's also like making sure that they understand how important things like that are. Um, and that's also visibility. Whether you're putting your face out there, the message that you present represents your company. And they're like, oh, wait a second, those guys were just talking about ransomware. I want to see what that means because I don't really know. I've heard that buzzword, but how can that impact me personally? Oh, wait, let me go read their blog because they provided 8 steps about how to avoid, getting hooked, which can happen through phishing as well. Anyway, I'm going off on that little tangent, but the visibility is about the people as well as the content and the value you bring to the community and the people visiting whatever platform they're on, whether they're on, again, let's simplify, pick one, LinkedIn. They're coming to LinkedIn. They're seeing, oh, somebody, there was a major ransomware attack on many universities across the entire country a few weeks ago, and it was software that all these different universities use, and so because of that, it's impact, right? So engagement, impact. Why do people want to visit your site? What value do you bring?
Right.
And how can you help support them in their business, and do they want to work with you? So your website and your online presence kind of have to answer all of these questions. It's really interesting how that all plays
Right.
out.
And it's what brings where. So when you start with something online, that's content. So I love that you brought up, it's not just getting your own face out there. Like, I don't post things about like what I had for dinner. I know it makes it more personal, but that's just isn't, I'm like, I don't care what you have for dinner. So I'm going to assume you don't care what I had for dinner. So I'm not posting that. Um,
Right.
however, um, posting your expertise. Now, I know people are afraid to like give it away, but that's how you build trust with potential clients. And when you
Yes.
build trust, then you build curiosity. That's what will bring them to your website. And then
Yeah.
on your website, if there's even more stuff of value, now they've built even more trust. And now they might get on the phone with you, right?
Right.
So being visible out online on LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever is about the beginning of a journey. It's not going to automatically create sales. It's the beginning of the journey of trust, of know,
Yes.
like, and trust. And
Yes.
how do you measure that, right? So, um, how many views? That's one thing, but that doesn't tell you if they like you or not. But then you've got likes, but how many clicks? Now you're
Yeah.
getting that's a little there's a little I like enough and I might start to trust. So now we can look at
Yep.
these clicks, right?
Yep.
Do you um what is your ideas about like measurement of these clicks? Do you get good information out of that? Does it help you determine which platforms are working? Like how,
It depends on, so newsletters, that's really helpful, right? Looking at the newsletters and at the open rates, the click-through rates, things like that, the engagement there. Um, LinkedIn has good statistics. I think it depends if you're advertising. Advertising will give you a lot more information. Obviously, Google Analytics does too. Google Search and Google Business, they all provide great reports. Your website does as well. That is, reporting is one of those things I do just from a high level, but getting
Mhm.
into the nitty gritty, I'm more focused on, when people show up. So I'm another client who just showed, we just got a couple of leads and they were because of AI. So they showed up in Chat GPT, which is great. So it's things like that where, the visibility comes into play and they're showing up in different places. But the reports they're definitely helpful to let you know if what you're doing is actually you're seeing growth, right? So you've
Right.
got to monitor it over time. You've
Mhm.
got to you've got to look at it, monthly, quarterly, annually, biannually, whatever. You've got to look at all of that and dig in because then when you need to pivot, you have to pivot, right? You got to change as things change. And marketing, when I started doing this in 2022, marketing changed like a rate of every 3 to 6 months, and now it's every day. Like now it's changing constantly every day. And so staying on top of it, for me, I have lots of tools that I use. to monitor my client websites and whatnot, that automatically tell me what's going on, if I need to make some adjustments to SEO or whatever I need to do. But I also have a lot of mentors that I follow online. So I attend webinars to make sure that, I'm getting the latest and greatest information, classes and courses, things like that on marketing, SEO, AO, advertising. Even though I don't do advertising, I have colleagues that do, and I do
Mhm.
collaborations with them. But, my focus is making sure that I'm continuing to bring things to the table because
Right.
it's changing so fast.
Right. All that you just said is a hat I want to throw so far away. I'm like, I don't want to wear that hat at all.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah.
this whole AI changing landscape it is nerve-wracking for those of us who don't choose to take the time to dive in and keep up with it because we have other things that are more aligned with what we're here to bring. So it
Right.
can be really daunting. I will say I did write a LinkedIn rant. It was hilarious, but also a rant because I used ChatGPT to write it, and I let ChatGPT do its own phrasing in it. And I wrote basically like, ChatGPT, hey, I see you everywhere. It's not this, it's that. There was a bunch of M dashes in there, was a bunch of these short, punchy sentences. And I just, my point was, I could be two sentences into what you wrote on your post. And if I recognize ChatGPT, I'm out. You just lost a reader. I don't care if the information is the most important information in the whole world. I just assume that's not you. You were too lazy to either train AI to sound like you, or, you know what I mean? And like a lot of this churning out content to me is just like, I don't need to hear that from you. I could ask AI to do that. Like, what do you have? So that's part of this authenticity,
Mhm.
bone that I have to pick with. It's not AI. It's the people say, oh, that makes everything easier. So I could do it 10 times as fast, especially solopreneurs. But I'll tell you, I'm clicking off in seconds, in nanoseconds. I'm not reading those posts on LinkedIn. I'm like, scroll, scroll, scroll. That's ChatGPT. Stop it. So it's like this learning curve for how can we have it help us condense because I am obviously a verbose human, and it doesn't come out all organized by any means. And ChatGPT can help me, can make it more concise. But then the last thing I do is cut and paste. Absolutely not. You sound like you. Yes, you reorganize that. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to rewrite it, and it's me. you know. So,
Right.
what do you think about that whole,
I mean, I honestly, the AI stuff, as I said, I use it. It's efficient. I've been using the hybrid approach I've been training chat for 3.5 years. I'm looking at Claude now and using that more. But the goal is for it to always be hybrid. It should always be human and AI driven. But I think I want to come back to kind of the focus on the visibility and the presence online in that. I guess my question would be for people, what is their biggest concern with their own visibility, right? Like, a lot of times when I'm working with people, um, or we're having initial conversations, it's like, oh, I don't like my website. Can you help me with that? It's like, yes, I can. I see you. I've been there. I've seen it so many times, right? Like, but let's learn more about you first. What is it that you don't like? Is it the site speed? Is it how pretty it is? Is it the messaging? Is it the feel and the flow? Like, let's talk about it first. See what's frustrating to you. Is it that your automations aren't working? Because I do that too. So helping people with automations as far as setting up emails, forms on their website, all that stuff. Like, are you seeing emails come in? Like, what is it for them that's missing, right? What is
Mhm.
it that for them that they want to see? Why don't they feel visible, right? So I think that's a big one. Why? And
Yeah.
because the how, and I mean, it's, doing it as, we talked about the many hats, but the doing it comes, and the how is kind of like, okay, we'll put that over here, but it's why. Why don't you feel visible? What is it you feel like you're missing? Are you looking at somebody else going, oh, I should be that, or I should be this or the other thing? Are you just local? Are you international? Are you, US based? There's so many different factors to that visibility aspect of it, but at the end of the day, it's about asking them what keeps them up at night. Why do they feel invisible? And, what are their expectations to get visible? Because it doesn't happen overnight. Not unless you're going to throw thousands and
Right.
thousands of dollars at it. It's not going to happen overnight. And when I say overnight, I mean like it's still not going to happen overnight. It takes, I'm going to go old school with some language, but it takes months for the interwebs to catch up, right? Like it takes months for Google not to necessarily index and scrape, but it does depending on how many pages you have, but also for everything to propagate, for you to start showing up in searches, in AI searches, making sure that things on the back end, sorry, I'm getting a little technical, the things on the back end are set up properly so that you can show up in all those searches. But
Right.
at the end of the day, it comes back to either the individual business owner, their team, their core team, the decision makers, and saying, look, we feel invisible. We're not getting leads. We're not seeing any traffic on the website. Or when people visit, they're not staying. So if you're
Mhm.
seeing people disappear from your website in 10 seconds, either your site's loading too slow, right? That's usually a big one. And
Right.
think about mobile because mobile is huge. I see a lot of people who forget to update the mobile site. That's big. But really, it's like, where do they feel like the problem is, or where do they feel like the visibility issue is? Hone in on that to start in that one area and then go from there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I know having that conversation would be really beneficial to, a small business because there's probably multiple points, multiple places where they feel invisible, but someone like you could help them to prioritize where to
Yeah.
start. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so a good question for a business owner to ask themselves would be, what's one thing that I think I could do, right? That
Right.
that I think could, if it were done, would help me have a greater impact.
I think audit, we've talked about all these digital things, tools, solutions. Audit one digital touch point, right? Just pick one.
Mm,
Pick your LinkedIn or your Instagram. You could pick your about page on your website.
hmm.
Uh, pick one of those, right? And really focus on that and then go from there because that one thing could help you really clarify your message that you can then amplify throughout all the other places.
Yeah, that's really important. I love that. And I love that you're pointing it to clarifying your message. Because how do you know what you want your SEO to say? If you're not clear with your message, then it's not, there's a
And will
disconnect
people
there.
understand what you do when they
Right.
arrive at your website or at your LinkedIn profile or at your Instagram, whatever? So
Right.
will they understand what you do and why you do it and how quickly
Mhm.
you can do it for them?
Yeah. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's such a big job," but it's really not. If they were just to talk it out, talk some questions like, "So what do you do?" Like I asked you before we hit record, like, "What do you do? How do you do it? Why do you do
Right,
it?" Right?
right,
And in
right.
that, I got a feel for who you are, and it's really that simple. I pulled my current tagline out of what came out of my own mouth: "Unleash what you were born to bring." Because someone was asking me, well, what do you really do? Like, I'm like, well, I'm a coach, I'm a podcaster, I'm a speaker. I'm like, no, that's my house. Those are all my house. That's not my what. What do I really do? Like, I guide people to unleash what they were born to bring. And she's like, there you go. There's your tagline. I'm like,
Right.
so having a conversation can really be helpful for people once they have this clear understanding, working with someone like you to actually then make everything else align to that. And pick something where they can be visible. So I love that you left them with, I always say, like, what's a turtle step? A turtle step is
Mhm.
the smallest step you can take that will move you in the direction you want to be. That's not so scary that you won't do it. So you can, that's actually doable. And for you to share, pick one digital touch point. That is beautiful. And
Mhm.
and it does create momentum. I know that, like, when I got clear on, like, oh, I help people to guide my guide. I guide people to unleash what they were born to bring. Like, what kind of people? Oh, well, high impact people. That's my people. So then I
Right.
changed that on LinkedIn. And when I changed that as my title, then I read through my about that's on LinkedIn and I'm like, that's not exactly it. And I spent, you know, some time like redoing that. I'll probably redo it 200 more times, but as every time I get clear. So we don't have to be stuck in the end all be all. It's just like what feels really true and right now. And then I just did it there. And then once I did it there, I go, well, I should just put this in Facebook, right? Because I put it on LinkedIn. Okay, I should just put this on Instagram. Oh, I should just, and it made things clear. So I'm always updating as I become clear. However, I don't update the SEO. Therefore, I would love, or Google or anything like that, love to work with someone who keeps up on all that, who can say, now that you're clear on that, let's propagate that.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. This has been such a great conversation. I absolutely love it. And I want to thank you for being a guest, Sarah. And do you have anything that you would like to share before we hang up that you would like to share with the
Yeah,
audience today?
I mean, I would love to chat with anyone that is looking to build a new website, looking to look at their existing online presence, because it can be daunting. I offer a free 30-minute consultation where we can just chat and get to know each other, and you can tell me what your biggest worry is about your online presence, your business, or growth. I mean, I work on strategy, so it's also about thinking about your business 3 to 5 years from now and what you envision for your business when we talk, and your website should also encompass that. So I'm also, when I'm working with folks doing that. And then I bring mindfulness into everything I do because I'm also a yoga and wellness teacher. So I bring mindfulness into everything that I do, and I hope that is part of why I'm of service and support. I have a inspirational journal called Reflections. You can find it on Amazon. It's a bestseller, and it's focused on 5 key areas of self-reflection, from awareness to gratitude and everything in between.
Mm,
I just did a speaking engagement on how we already do hard things and closed out with a sound bath and meditation. So kind of bringing websites and wellness together, and my hope of, um, really just providing a space where people can do these things in a way that doesn't feel so overwhelming. So, like to
mhm.
your point, like starting small, yes, you can go down the rabbit hole of LinkedIn, but just start with your overview, and then, take it in pieces. Don't feel like you have to do everything all at one time.
Yeah, really
And so,
beautiful.
oh, I also forgot to mention, and if you mention this podcast when you reach out, then I will also offer you a discount on any digital project that you sign with me.
Oh, that's very generous. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Awesome. Really great. Well, Sarah, thank you so much. This has been a very enlightening conversation. So everyone, that is our show. I'm Linda Bucher, guiding people to know their worth, to reconnect to their gifts, and create lives that are fully aligned and deeply impactful. And if you're sensing it's time to bring your life into deeper alignment, you can explore what that looks like at lindabucher.com. And if today's episode sparks something for you, like it, and then maybe share it with someone who might need it. And subscribe, don't forget about that so that you don't miss what's next. And then join me next week for another expansive, uplifting conversation designed to support your growth. So until next time, make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.